Hello everyone, Burb here. Umumusme's next big scenario, Brighter Together Our Grand Concert. Also known as Grand Live, is being released in a couple of days, so I think it is time for me to go and build a scenario overview. I've never done a scenario guide on this channel. This will be the first, so I am just trying to do my best. I'm doing it in a format that you may be familiar with. This will be similar to the Champions Meeting overview videos. If you are unaware of the format, the overview videos don't go into the nitty-gritty 100% of absolutely everything that could possibly go on with the topic. What it does is it tries to be broad enough that it encompasses the entire topic, deep enough that it becomes interesting. There will be some math, do not worry, but not so deep that it goes and becomes overwhelming. The purpose of the overview video is to get you started so that you're able to be informed while you are testing and doing runs in this case for this scenario, so that we can, as things go and get more complicated later on with specific different topics that reveal themselves down the line, I will go and tackle those one at a time. This is basically high-level overview or requirements breakdown. Okay, so typically I want to go over 4 things in this video. I want to go over those scenario mechanics. We will be going pretty deep, but not too deep into them. And then I will be giving suggestions for strategy, deck building, and then ending it off with a couple of general tips. As a final disclaimer, I do not own a JP account, so I haven't played it, so technically this is all subject to change. However, I have gone and talked with a ton of people, as well as read a bunch of guides and compiled stuffs, particularly from Uma.Guide, and the Uma.Guide people have been helping me out a lot with this, so I will shout them out at the end of the video as well. And also, I have watched people play this scenario, but technically this is all second-hand knowledge and not myself, okay? So with that disclaimer out of the way, let's go and talk about Grand Live. For Grand Live, we are back to a training scenario. We aren't racing very much because the core gameplay loop requires us to go and press the training button so often. The core gameplay loop basically is we press training and we acquire currency from those trainings as a sort of gimmick, but then we use that currency to go and buy us permanent buffs to our training buttons. Now our training buttons are better, we then press them, we acquire more currency, we then trade the currency in for more permanent buffs, and this sort of snowballs over time, and hopefully by the end of it we have an Uma that has had a lot of good taps on very powerful trainings that have very high amounts of skill points as well as stats. And speaking of stats, this is a required scenario for aces because of the increase in the speed cap in particular. While the guts cap has been increased to 1500, the more important one is the fact that the speed is increased from 1300 all the way up to 1600. And while it is technically halved when done in terms of actual speed calculation and velocity calculation, that 1400 speed still is pretty much 4 green speed skills, in which you can also still buy those green speed skills. So pretty much any Uma that's outside of Grand Live is not really going to be competitive in the CM space. So you have to interact with this current scenario. Also do note that it takes twice as much speed training in order to get levels above 1200. So this is really effectively a 2000 speed cap in terms of training. That gives us an additional 1400 when we have velocity calculation, but it is significant enough that we do have to go and run Grand Live from now on for aces. To compensate for this, Cygames has basically buffed all the trainings in the scenario. The speed now gives you 8 speed and 4 power. The stamina gives you 8 stamina and 6 guts. Power gives you 9 power and 4 stamina. Guts gives you 7 guts, 2 speed, 2 power. And wit gives you 6 wit and 2 speed. This is up from both URA and Unity, as well as, of course, all the trainings giving you 4 skill points, with the addition of wit giving you a bonus 1 skill point, and, of course, the energy refund. Do note that every level past level 1 will give you an additional 1 primary stat, so this would be 9 speed, as well as 1 additional energy drain, so this would then cost 20 at that point. At level 4 and level 5, not only does it give a primary stat, but it also increases the secondary stats, so a speed training would also give you 5 power for level 4 and 6 power for level 5, and this makes it really important for us to go and focus on particular facilities, because we really need to go and grab these secondary stats as well. Also do note that this will increase the energy drain by an additional 1 as well. We are back to URA. We will be increasing our training level by pressing the button essentially. So 4 trainings on a particular facility will increase that facility's level from 1 to 2 to 2 to 3 to 3 to 4 for a maximum of 20 trainings to get to level 5. This is unique to every single training. So this is why we kind of are going to be running speed wit decks, because the wit gives us the ability to refund some energy, and the speed gives us 2 of the most important stats in speed, with the new speed cap, of course, and power being the primary acceleration stat essentially. The gimmick for this scenario is basically when you train, you get currency. You get these performance points, and these performance points are based off of a few factors. The actual equation itself is essentially there is a base, and the base is determined whether or not it's a wit training or not because of the energy refund. So wit gives us a base of 5, and anything that's not wit gives us a base of 9. After that, the facility level, so including level 1, basically we add it to that base, just like a, basically like a speed or a power bonus. So a level 2 facility would have 11 as the base training value. After that, we multiply that by the number of support cards that have been participating. So if you have 3 support cards participating on the training, we don't just go and add it together to 45% bonus. We do times 1.15 times 1.15 times 1.15. We basically multiplicatively multiply them, so it's really closer to, like, I think 51% bonus from the additional participant bonus, rather than just standard addition of it. So having multiples is really important, and that's why the 3-speed deck is very suggested in this. But we'll talk about deck building later. After that, if you are running a scenario link character, it post-calc will add you a bonus to performance points, which does really add up over time. It's quite a nice buff. Your scenario link characters are Smart Falcon, Mahona Bourbon, Agnes Tachyon, Silent Suzuka. Basically, using any of these cards will give you this bonus, and using any of them either as a card or running them as a character will give you their particular skill hint. You can choose the white version of the skill hint whenever you want, but if you have the scenario link character somewhere in the game, whether it is you or your actual deck, you will have access to choosing as your one-time bonus as the gold one. In particular, Mahona Bourbon, that Mahona Bourbon wit card you're using, is scenario link that will give you concentration, which is really important for front runners. Smart Falcon gives you a pretty nice late race speed and full speed for dirt tracks in particular. The one most people will have is Agnes Tachyon for medium tracks, will give us Come What May, probably the best late race speed skill in terms of a gold skill that is available to everybody, as well as besides maybe front runners. And then Silent Suzuka will give you a recovery in Track Blazer, so it's more of the free to play Silent Suzuka card. That one is it, and you always have access to Lane Ledgerman if you wish, which is not necessarily the greatest skill because the lane movement speed doesn't really do that much in the late race, unless they've changed it recently, but so far it hasn't really been doing that much. So you will probably be taking Come What May in the next medium CM, and if you're a front runner, you're probably taking Concentration. There are 5 different types of points that you can get. This is basically 5 different currencies that you're trying to balance out and have a variety of, but they are dance, passion, vocal, visual, and mental. And at the start of each turn, each one of your training facilities rolls a random one of these, but they are not just randomly rolled. They are biased towards a particular type based on the training that it is. It has a 60% chance of rolling its primary type, a 30% chance of a secondary type, and then a 10% chance to roll one of the other 3. So it's very unlikely at 3.33% that it chooses a particular type of performance point that isn't its primary or secondary type, which is really important because they're pressing the speed and wit button a lot, and speed will generate you a lot of dance and will roll visual less option. This is primary on the left and secondary on the right, where wit will grab you mental and passion. And these are only 4 of the 5 different types of performance points. Okay, so you either will have to hit power or you will have to friendship train in order to get that last one, vocal. This gives you 2 different types of performance points, and this is why friendship trainings are so important, because they essentially give you double the amount of points, and particularly they give you the least currently held performance point, which has greater value because you are struggling. If 2 are equal, I believe it chooses it at random. How do you get vocal when you can only really generate 4 of them? It's either through friendship or it's really just through Light Hello. Light Hello has an event. I'm going to steal some from the Light Hello video, which I suggest running, that gives you 20 tokens. That is the least owned that you have generated essentially. So if you own not that many vocals, she will give you 20 vocal when her event procs, which happens about 45% of the time. To steal the allegory from that video, basically, the Musume players need 5 things to live: food, water, shelter, their phone, and a internet connection. When 2 buttons are pressed, speed and wit, and 2 of them give you food and shelter, and the other one gives you phone and internet, you're missing a lot of water, which means Light Hello is the river that keeps you from being thirsty. Light Hello is critical to the scenario. You must pretty much use her because of this mechanic, not only just because it gives you vocal or whatever you end up needing, it's because it's just simply the amount of piece generation that she actually gives. It's just higher than pretty much any other card in the game, because even training on power by running an additional power card is only giving you pretty much 11 to 13, where she gives you like 20 while also being on any one that you actually need. In addition, the SSR at 0LB, in my opinion, is better than the R version. This is the other thing that was a thesis of the previous video. It gives you more energy, as well as giving you the gold see you later, which is playtimes over gold, which is a very important skill. The R version has more training effectiveness at 5, but I don't think it goes and tips it back in favor. Also, there is reports that the R version sometimes only gives 10 song pieces instead of 20 song pieces, so you will be losing some economy in this scenario. So we have acquired currency. What do we do now? Well, we have to spend the currency. In order to do that, we spend it on lessons. There's 2 types of lessons: techniques and songs, and you basically just buy them from the shop. The shop uses the performance points that you generate while training, and it will always offer you 3 of these lessons of the same type, so either 3 techniques or 3 songs. The only exception is when you run out of songs, it'll replace the song that would be there with a technique. There's no way to re-roll this shop. The only way to do so is to select one of the 3 options it gives you, and the progression is scripted that we will talk about later. There's always a particular number of techniques you have to buy before you get one of the big ones, so it is not random whatsoever, and you can influence it. Okay, there are a bunch of techniques. I've kind of broken them down into 5 different categories over 3 separate levels, and those are Vitas, small hats, manuals and scrolls, hammers, and rival races, and the ones that give you more stats. Jokes aside, because no, we're not in track blazer, do not worry. There are 5 different types of technique categories that I've sort of made. You have the energy ones, the ones that give you stats or skill points, the basic ones I call them, the advanced ones that give you twice as many, the hybrid ones that give you both stats and skill points, and finally ones that give you random hints of a particular type. We'll go over each one of these. The energy ones basically work like Vita 20s and Vita 40s. You buy the lesson for those points. It's always a random song piece type on pretty much all of these, and they cost you 25, 30, and 35, so progressively more cost for progressively more energy. These are very powerful because it basically negates the need for resting, which could be an entire turn, which is really important in keeping your economy up, because then you're doing more friendship trainings, which gives you more points. So it's basically like kind of a cost refund while giving you the free stats from the training itself. Its efficiency does increase the higher level it is, as I'm calling it. So the 40 energy techniques are more efficient than the 20 energy techniques. For the basic ones, the one that give you only one type of stat, they give you 5, 8, and 12 respectively for the 3 different levels for a cost of 10, 16, and 24. Their efficiency is exactly the same no matter what level that you do, although the cheaper ones are quite nice because, well, it's less points used before the next song, but we'll find that these levels are basically more determined by what point you're buying them in. For hybrids, they give you both stats and SP. They give you 4 stats and 4 SP, or 6 stats and 6 SP for the level 2, level 3. And their cost for it is basically a primary and a secondary. So they'll cost you 10 of one type of piece and 6 of the second type of performance points. And the level 3 ones will cost you 24 in total, for 14 plus 10. Their efficiency is 2.0, just like the basic ones as well. For the double stats, the efficiency is exactly the same, except the cost is more balanced because they're 2 separate stats. It'll choose 2 stats, it'll tell you which stats they are. It'll give you either 4 or 6 based on the level that it is. And of course, all these are random. They're random stats generated, they're random song piece types generated. You can't really go and affect these too much. The hint ones are unique in that basically they will tell you which category they are, whether it's sprint, dirt, long, late surge, or pace chaser. Think of it like the Track Blazer rival races, and they give you hit level based on the level that it is. The problem with these are they are so expensive. They're 15, 25, and 35, and yes, their efficiency goes up in terms of skill points if you consider it like 15 to 20 skill points per hint. It's a random hint. So unless you're fishing a particular hint, you don't really need these, and these are usually the lowest of the priorities. You also only have access to certain techniques at different points of the game. So the reason why I've been splitting it up in the sort of levels that I have, these aren't really delimited in the game itself, is because you get them at different points in the game. After every live or concert, which are at fixed points during the year, the shop actually goes and offers better but more expensive techniques, as well as a bunch of other things that we'll talk about later. Your 5 lives are always after year 1 or after late December and junior year, after late June before summer 1 in classic year, after year 2, the end of classic year after late December, before summer 2, the after late January in senior year, and finally right before the URA finale during the end of senior year. You only have access to certain techniques at different points of the game. From the start till the year 1 concert at the basically end of junior year, you only have access to the basic level 1 hints that I've basic level 1 stuff, the energy 1 through 3, and hints from 1 through 3, although it is weighted more biased towards the 20 energy and the hint level 1. After year 1 concert, you do unlock the advanced ones that give you 2 times the amount, as well as the hybrid ones that give you both skill points and stats. So you have much more options, and most of them are level 2. In fact, that's the only things that you can buy. So when you go and you're after your first concert after junior year, the shop gets much more expensive by about 40%, I'm pretty sure, for each of the techniques. After the year 3 summer, which is the 4th live, but until the end of the grand live, you have access to everything at level 3. It's kind of like the final burst. You are just trying to go and grab as much stuff as possible at the highest levels so that you get some bonus stats in what you need. The shop does not offer songs randomly, it offers them in a scripted sequence based on the techniques that you buy. For example, at the start of the game, you will always in shop number 1 buy a technique and then be immediately offered song number 1 on shop number 2. Shop number 3 and 4 will give you 2 techniques, and then shop number 5 will always be your second song. Between each one of those songs is a number of required techniques you have to buy. For example, song number 3 requires 3 techniques between the last song and the next offered song. After that, you have 4 techniques, 4 more techniques, 2 techniques, and 3 techniques, and you have a song in between those. This sequence is unique to junior year. Between the first live and the second live and the third live, and the third live and the fourth live, there is a different sequence. Basically, most of the time, you will have 2 techniques followed by a song, 2 techniques followed by a song, with the exception being the 4th and the 5th song being a point at which you have to consider the value because it requires 4 to 5 lessons in order to go and reach that breakpoint. Most times you're going to be living around here on song number 4 for the before first concert or the junior year. Every other one you're probably living between 3 and 4 songs bought. The final concert has a little bit of a flow down. Instead of 5, it is 3 for number 5, and the reason being is you're basically losing some of the value because, as we'll discuss later, part of the effect is granted after the next live, and the grand concert happens right before URA finale, meaning there's not that many training turns, so they're just trying to let you go and buy as many songs as possible after you finish your 4th live. For example, to put it in here, your initial shop's going to be technique song, technique, technique song, technique, technique, technique song, technique, 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 technique song. And then you'll do 4 more techniques in a song, 2, then a song, then 3, then a song. Hopefully that clears a little bit out. Note that when a live happens, your progress and your chain both reset, meaning that if you've bought some amount of techniques but have not been offered a song, you will lose progress towards the next song. Also, your chain, which was discussed here, also gets reset just between the various different lives. Imagine 2 to 3 versus 3 to 4. If you were over here on number 5, where you had to have 5 more techniques, it'll reset you to 2. So The strategy behind this is usually if you are getting very close to the live, you generally want to buy enough techniques until you are offered the song itself. And there is a strategy around this. This is optional and it's useful mainly when you are close to capping points, which I believe is 100, but I could be wrong on that. But there is a strategy that tells you that you should prepare songs. What that means is you buy enough techniques until you are offered the song and then you leave that song in shop. This has a positive and a negative. The positive is that it replaces the first technique with the song, meaning that, for example, on concert on number after the first concert, if you go and you buy three and prep number four, that fourth song will take the place of the first technique. You will have one technique and then you will have the song. Even though you only bought one technique in between it, that song replaced that first technique. This is useful for saving a little bit of performance points and also making it so that you can use up some of your over-generated performance points. The downside to this is you do not get the second part of the song effect until the next Grand Live, which is useful for certain songs itself. Okay, we'll go over that in a second. The general strategy that JJ and Jakalaka and everyone was telling me, and the Uma.Guide people, was that in general, the baseline generally is on live number one, you're buying 4 songs and you're carrying over the 5th song to the second live. So you're essentially putting song number 5 in the bank ready for live number 2. That's where you should be on the first live. If you have a charming run and you get a ton of friendships early, you can consider buying that 5th song and preparing the 6th, or even buying the 6th song and preparing the 7th. However, this in general is incredibly risky because you're using a lot of points early, and the later songs are generally a little bit better. So there's diminishing returns because you're going to buy the best songs, and you're going to leave the worst songs in the field. But in general, that's the baseline for people for live number 1. For lives 2, 3, you're basically kind of playing it by ear based on the number of points you have, but in general, you're going to be buying 3 and carrying over song number 4. That should be the goal. But if you don't meet that, perfectly fine. Rarely you're going to actually go up and try to hit that 5th song. It's very, very unlikely. Most likely you're stopping by carrying over number 4 and by carrying over number 5 on the first concert. Note that the scenario goal is basically just to buy 3 songs, and you're going to get that in pretty much any recommended run or ace run, but do note you do technically have to kind of buy to get max hype. That is the scenario goal, but you're going to be doing that anyways. It's kind of like how Track Blazer was, where you have to run races, and the points were just making sure you're running races. We're going to go over all the songs now. This will be rather long, to be honest, but it shouldn't be too bad. Each song basically has 2 components that are buffs. One is an instant effect that applies to trainings immediately or gives you additional stats. The other one is a buff that appears on the concert. These are denoted by the double up arrow, the double chevron for the instant effects, as well as the microphone for the next concert buff, meaning that the next Grand Live will apply this to globally to all your cards and everything. The concert bonus has a rather specific tier list in my opinion. The reason is there's only 3 of them, and it's kind of obvious which one is the best one. Just a little history, at the start of JP they had to nerf this last one here, but we'll get to that. But the order of priority should probably be specialty priority, friendship bonus, followed by support card event chain increase. The reason is that specialty priority increases the chance that cards go to their trainings, even though it is only like 5%, I believe. That is like a 1% increase, which means that you are tapping more bonds, which means you're tapping more friendships, which means you are generating more performance points. So it's almost as if you have a slight refund on the points over time because you get more friendships over time. Specialty priority is incredibly powerful in this scenario, and getting bonus ones globally on every single card is super powerful. Friendship bonus should be number 2 because it does lead to more stats. Basically, you can get these a little bit later because you do need your bonds up. However, it is essentially what causes you to reach those really high speed thresholds and width thresholds, basically, because you're able to get that bonus 5% stats. It's basically multiplicative 5% friendship bonus. It really does affect those stats. That's how you're probably seeing people get 100 plus stats per training in the late game. The last one, support chart event chain increase. In JP originally, apparently this was absolutely busted and would complete all of your chain events by like end of junior year. This has been nerfed a little bit. It's still very good, don't get me wrong. This will still help you complete your chain events, which is what the purpose is of it. And you will be buying a couple of these songs usually because they generally have good training bonuses attached to them, but it's more of a nice to have. You will most likely be completing your train events by the end of the run, unless you're running 6 full SSRs, but still, even then, you probably will most runs still get it. This just helps it and usually is not the primary focus of the song itself. The other half is the mastery bonus, which applies instantly. Note that these happen at the next live, after the next live, in the next phase of the game. The mastery bonus, there's a few different ones. Usually there is either a increase in skill point gain or skill point bonus, a speed, power, or wit, or a training bonus of any type, as well as instant stats. In my opinion, you most likely, using a standard speed wit build, want to have the skill point bonus increase maxed as much as possible. You grab those songs if they appear because they apply globally, and skill points are the hardest thing in the game to grab. They just simply translate to more skills. After that, your bonuses to the trainings that you're actually training, speed, power, and wit, they apply globally. They don't apply to the trainings, they apply to anything that that buffs it, essentially. So the speed means that wit trainings will get speed +1, and that speed trainings will get speed +1. The power means that, guts, power, and speed all get power +1, and wit means that you get wit +1 on your wit taps. This again is a bonus, which means it is multiplied by your friendship bonus, it is multiplied by your TEF, and everything else that affects trainings. After that, instant stats. Some of them give you instant stats, and then whatever stats that you're not using, usually it is stamina and guts. Sometimes you kind of like the stamina if you're running like a stamina card, but they are less useful than the speed, power, and wit. For songs, there is always a pool of songs. When you buy a song, the song is then removed from the pool, and songs are added to the pool after each concert, which means it's rather nice to start trimming the songs every single time. Buying more songs, we'll talk about this in a separate video, but buying more songs increases the chances that you get the good songs later because you're buying the songs that are still fine, but they dilute the pool. So generally, newly added songs do have better value because they have better mastery bonuses as well as concert bonuses. Also note, so these lives also restrict the songs based on what it is. We'll go over them real quick. The early game songs that are offered to you from the start of the game, the best one by far is Believe in Miracles, because basically both sides of the both the mastery and the concert bonus are incredible. Wit training +1 is very good because you want to press wit a lot for your bonds, but also because it is a stat bonus that is also applied to the best concert bonus and specialty priority, which helps you get more bonds later on if there's any stragglers. That's my personal opinion. I think this song is the best one out of all of them if you're able to grab. Otherwise, there's a couple of good songs that just give you some speed, some skill points, and some power initial stats, but the big thing is that you are starting to stack your friendship bonus, and getting that early means that in, the third and the fourth and before grand concert, you have higher friendship bonus over time. This is sort of saving it for the late game when your friendship bonuses increase. These directly attribute to stats, which means I think these are sort of the tier 2. After that, quote unquote tier 3 songs, I guess, are the ones that have support chain event frequency, but the quarter delimiting factor, let's say, is that 0 is where the center stands and Go This Way have speed and power bonus, whereas Ring Ring Diary and Runaway Fall in Love have stamina and guts bonus, which are not really used that much. Basically, those two songs at the bottom, you generally just let stay in the pool. And because you're always offered 3 songs, you're never really forced to take it unless you want to, at least in this early game. So in this first year, you generally just don't take these unless you are specifically running a build that trains some level of stamina. Okay, so on the standard speed wit build, you generally are going to want to get the wit training plus, you're going to want to get the friendship bonus for later, and you're going to want to get your speed training and power training. One last thing to note, there is value in choosing these bonuses to speed and power early, because they apply on your way up as well. So if you're noticing that your speed bonds are happening quite good, like your speed bonds are happening fast and you're starting to get friendship trainings, you might want to grab the 0 where is where the center stands for that speed bonus in order to get more stats now, and hopefully go and grab your wit training with specialty priority and your friendship bonus a little later. So it's all situational. It's a topic for another video. I just wanted to highlight that these are not just like strictly a pure tier list. It depends on where you are and how the game is feeling. Once you complete the first live, in other words, at the start of the classic year, you get added one of the 2 God songs, one of the songs that you're really looking for. These are the ones people have talked about. The skill point 2 bonus, Run for Our Dream. This does not only give you specialty priority after the next live, which really helps with more friendship trainings, that surprisingly enough is secondary because you essentially get every single training gives you +2 base skill points. Remember, that is multiplied by all the friendship bonuses that you're doing, and this can end up being, some commenter said in the previous video, it's probably close to 150 to 200 skill points over the course of a run. So if this appears in classic year, it's probably close to 100 skill points on its own, which is a whole new skill over everybody else just for a song. Immensely powerful. Otherwise, if that one is not offered to you, or you bought it and you need more songs, our Bluebird Days and Annonay both have speed training +2 or guts training +2. Obviously, speed training +2 is better. It's just these have the effect of specialty priority of +5, which kind of supersedes the primary stats anyway. So both these are above the curve because of their concert bonus, but of course, Bluebird Days is better probably because of the speed training bonus +2. After live number 2, Grow Up and Shine is added, which is the +3 skill point bonus with a combined total of possibly a +5 skill point bonus, which is what is the high roll of the actual event. It does have support chain of friend frequency +1, but that skill point bonus +3 is incredible and supersedes absolutely everything else. Even though we are at the start of Summer 1, there's plenty of time to get value out of this. After that, you have power training +2 on Several Colors Scenery, wit training +2 on Sunbeam Cheers, stamina training +2 on Hoppity Sunny Days, and then after the live 3, basically they release 6 songs that are all just friendship bonuses increase. At this point, you usually are going all in. So everything I talked about before about the buy 4 songs and wait, buy 3 songs and wait, this is over. After your live 3, your classic year is over. Going into the 4th one, you're buying as many songs as possible, because after that live, there is no other time for you to get that concert bonus active. You want as many friendship bonuses as you can at that point to hopefully get that grand total of 50 to 55% friendship bonus by getting every single song with friendship bonus. And this is why you see that 100 plus stat trainings in that summer 2 plus. Okay, so basically at this point, you're buying every single song. You focus on the friendship bonus songs. Of course, if you get the skill point ones late, it's still usually pretty good. Note that there are 2 scripted songs you get. Make Debut happens on turn number 5, I believe. Yes, turn number 5. It gives you 10 to all points, meaning your performance points or your currency, just a little bit of starting, and it does give you 5 specialty priority after the first concert. Girls Legend U is basically the bonus at the end of the game. It gives you all stats +10 after the final grand live, but before the game ends, basically, you do get this friendship bonus +10. It's just basically a bonus stats on the last 3 turns. One last thing, do note that you still need fans in order to upgrade your ultimate. Now, we may go on another video on whether or not this is important for uniques, but just note that if you do not have the fan requirements the same as URA, you will not actually upgrade your ultimate, and it may stay even at level 1. So you do need that 60,000 by basically Valentine's Day senior year, the 70,000 by early April, and then 120,000 by the end of December. Hopefully your Uma has like a Japan Derby or something that should help you out with that. That's all the mechanics. We're going to start talking about strategy now. My personal observations is that for Grand Live, your early game priority should be to try to activate Light Hello pretty much as fast as possible, unless there is like a 3 or 4 support card friend like bond increase. You should probably be getting that Light Hello bond to roughly 40, where the game starts rolling decently well on trying to start her event. It's just the fact that having her both have dates available so that you're able to replace your rests, as well as being able to start to get her bonus points and everything, as well as her training phase. Yeah, whatever. It's very, very powerful. So that is my primary priority, I would say, unless of course you have a multi-bond. The next thing is of course get your support card bonds as much as possible. If there's nothing good, there's like only solo support card bonds, you can highly consider running a Light Hello date, or just tapping on Light Hello solo, trying to get her bond up, as well as trying to trigger her event for bonus currency as a last resort, depending on your energy level. High energy level, tap on her to try to get bonus points. Low level, date with her to try to get more energy. Okay? Overall in the game, you probably are, once you get your friendships up, focusing on friendship training. It kind of supersedes most other things. It's very rare that you will find a support card bond is worth more than friendship training. I guess if there's 4, you could consider it, because that would be what, 1 training closer for pretty much every card in your deck. But a lot of times you're just looking for currency so you can buy stuff to get those techniques and songs as early as possible. And that is where friendship training really, really helps, because again, it gives you the least owned piece, which is usually what is bottlenecking you from getting the song that you want. After that, your support card bonds, of course, get more active to try to get more friendships. Date with Light Hello if you're low on energy. If you're out of dates, then I guess you rest. And at that point, after that, if you have like max energy, you can consider a race. But racing, Grand Live is super hostile to racing. Whenever you race, you're not getting currency, you're burning 20 energy, and you are grabbing skill points, but a lot of times your cards have skill point bonus and you're not necessarily getting like 50 to 60, but you're still getting like 20 skill points once you do get a skill point song, if you do get one. And if you don't, Agnes Tachyon or something will sort of bridge the gap. So a lot of times the stuff that you're grabbing, the skill points that you're grabbing, it's not worth the actual race when you're able to just generate more currency. So this is why Grand Live is very difficult if you want to actually run extra races. Some deck building suggestions. The primary deck is going to be a 3-speed 2-wit Light Hello, and I think there's plenty of options for whale decks, especially that when they start dumping Kidison Black for tail wit. Can I grab a drink real quick? They dump for tail wit because of Pro Curve being on it, and they pick with higher speed cards. For a more reasonable deck, even if you get like 1 LB copies of the cards we've been suggesting over the course of time, like Marzensky 1 LB, Mr. CB 1 LB, Agnes Tachyon, if you get some level of Tachyon 2 LB Light Hello, you're going to find that you get some relatively good success. It's not going to be as potent as someone with full SSR MLBs, of course, but you can kind of reach 80 to 90% of the way there. If you don't have access to that, what you can do is basically borrow lock yourself with either Agnes Tachyon or Light Hello, probably Agnes Tachyon because MLB is powerful, and fill in as many wit cards that are really good. Fuku is going to be your friend with the very high friendship bonus and high initial friendship gauge. Sweep Tosho has a skill point bonus, which should help you out as well. For mediums and longs in general, if your sparks are not absolutely perfect, and even if your sparks are perfect, you're probably going to run some sort of stamina card. It could be Super Creek. That's probably the best option due to the TEF and everything when she's on other trainings, but Manhattan Cafe has great stamina output, requiring you to tap her much less, as well as I believe having high initial friendship as well for a SR card. Otherwise, oh yep, and that's it. That's for the deck building section. When you're in this next CM17, most people are going to have to run a stamina card. It's just the fact of the matter. Now, you do lose a lot from losing that 3rd speed card, but it's just you have to hit the stamina bonus, the stamina levels, and you just don't have enough. And that's where the stamina card come in. What you do is you pretend you're running the same speed wit deck. If there is a friendship on stamina, you can take it, but realistically, you're kind of using it as a summer gamble, okay? So you're kind of pressing it in summer when she's there. You hope you get like 1 or 2 taps in summer on that stamina, and that gets you enough to go and supplement whatever level of stamina sparks that you have. Note, if you're a late searcher player, just because I'm a late searcher player, that we will be running a utility card, most likely in our borrow slot for Chris S. But Daichi Ruby is for our shorts, and our long is going to be Chris S and Miles as well for Ruby. So late surgers, we kind of have to run a utility card in this case, so we should be getting used to that 2-speed, 2-wit, light hello utility card playstyle. Note that that third card is very important. Now, this will be a topic for another video, but basically a third card on any training, 3-wit, 3-speed, 3-power, I guess, will give you an additional about 15%, 15 to 20% combined chance per tap, basically, of having a friendship training. That's the big thing. If every card is activated, the 3-speed deck gets a friendship training on speed 60% of the time versus around 40% of the time. It depends on the specialty priorities of the card. I just wanted to highlight this, saying that the 3-speed is not just a simply an additive thing. It does exponentially increase your overall speed over time. But that's a topic for another video as well. Just a little bit of a preview. In general, the cards that you're looking for have high specialty priority, high friendship bonus, high skill point bonus, and high initial friendship gauge. I forgot that one, but a combination of all 4 of those will lead to success because your bond gets up really fast. It gets up to bond level 80 in order to get that friendship training. You will have high friendship bonus, meaning that you will have a ton of stats when the friendship hits. High specialty priority means its bond goes up faster because it's on the trainings that you want more, as well as obviously more friendship trainings. And then the skill point bonus will help you in raising your ceiling because it's very difficult without skill point bonus to grab extra skill points. 4 general tips just to close us out. Light hello is your friend. When you have a bad tap, try to date. When you have nothing else to do, tap on light hello, because she just gives you currency which you can kind of use to stabilize your run and buy the songs later to at least give you something when there's bad taps. Money and points are fungible. Even if you believe you can get 6 songs in the first training, in the first live, you're going to find that if you were to go to 4 and hold them off, and you'll get the feel for this as I've been watching people, you might find that stockpiling up just the tiniest amount of points will lead to quite a bit of success because you just are able to buy a lot of songs right off the bat in the next year. So those thresholds are there for a reason. The reason is it's just simply less efficient after song number 4, basically, to go and buy songs later on. But again, it's very risky to go to past 5. It may be the play to have based on what the actual your actual run's doing, but in general, you do want to stockpile a little bit for the really efficient first 3 songs to get those as quick as possible your next live. So that's why money is fungible, points are fungible. Try to press speed and wit a lot. It'll get your training levels high, which means you're actually generating more currency. Remember that. So the reason why we're running speed wit decks isn't just because we can't run 2-2-2 decks like you can. It's just you're gonna find that you get less currency and of course less stats in general because of it. Try to be a bit flexible. You can try it out, but there's a reason why the meta was 3-speed, 2-wit, and light hello in JP. It's because it was very easy to get those training levels up. Power, Stamina, and Guts cards in general are for their utility, for their gold skill, like for Daichi Ruby, for Flash Forward, which is Leap Forward for the shorts and miles, as well as, of course, Super Creek was there to hit your stamina, or Manhattan Cafe, or any stamina card is there to hit your stamina. Generally, stamina taps are more for summer. Tokens are tokens, so if it's the only friendship, go for it. But in general, you really need to press the speed button to hit that 1600 cap. All right, resetting. It's not 100% required. You can just play this, especially if you're just doing story runs, you're trying to enjoy the game. But when you're running aces, it's very likely you're going to have to reset. This is by far the most volatile and snowbally of any of the scenarios that we've had. And you can, after a while, I would say you probably don't need to reset the first couple runs, but as you get more used to it and the game, you're going to start to figure out when you want to reset. And there's going to be a lot of CCs that say when to reset. Perhaps that's a topic for another video. But in general, if you're just not really able to buy songs, that's generally going to be the times when you want to reset. The Uma.Guide people say that at the end of the run, you should probably have between 18 and 21 songs. 18 gives you the special song. That gives you that plus 10 all stats as well as the 10% friendship bonus on the final 3 turns. The 21, I believe, clears out the pool. But there's just so many things that can go wrong. You can have Light Hello not show up, not do her first event, not even get her bond up. You could have not enough good songs offered in year 1. You could have only the bad songs being offered on like year 2. You could have your friendship bonds be scattered out everywhere, and I think you'll get the feeling as you play more in when you can just reset. The difference between this and track plays is that you don't have to wait until basically the end of the run to know a run is glue. You're going to be able to know this by pretty much after the first live based on what songs are actually offered to you in the first few shops of your number 2. There'll be fast resets. It'll take you 10 minutes per reset. It's still going to be frustrating. The last thing is that I don't suggest parent farming in Grand Live. I do suggest parent farming. I think that's what your borrows should be tried for. But that should be done in either Trackblazer, Unity, or technically URA. If you want quick parents, do Unity, or you can just even use the auto feature that's coming out in 1.5 anniversary. The Grand Life scenario doesn't really give anything, whereas the Unity Cup gives you the Igniteds, the URA gives you the racings skills, and the Trackblazer obviously gives you race matching. The Scenario Spark for Grand Live is just speed and guts, which actually isn't that great because we have so much speed generation, and guts is the least of the important stats that we're currently working on. Something like TS Climax with stamina guts is better. Something like URA Finale with speed stamina is better. Even the power wit can be considered better than speed guts in this case. So I don't think that this offers anything above the other scenarios to parent farm or loop onto. That's it. Try to have fun with our grand concert or grand live, whatever you want to call it. Honestly, at this point, it's testing phase. No one really knows what's going on at this point. We know what JP did, but JP also didn't have on your left and neck buffs. So there's completely different playstyles that could happen. Who knows? Maybe there's a 2-2 deck that even works because, maybe power is really good because now we have fully charged. There's so many different variables that we have in the global that JP never had. And the only way to figure it out is if you test for yourself. And I'll be testing as well, and any findings that I do, I'll be making videos on it too. And I'll be going into depth into those particular topics as well. But now is probably the most fun time to go with our grand concert or grand live. I'm sorry if I choose one or the other. We'll figure it out later. But go into it. You're now informed. I think I've shown you all the mechanics. Now is the matter of execution and trying to figure out what works for your particular playstyle and risk tolerance. A shout out to the Uma.Guide people. They actually made a text version of this. More accurately, I more made the video version of their text version, and it was kind of frustrating to me because I was really trying to add things to this to make it add additional value, and I am having trouble because that text version guide was made so well that basically my talking points were there pretty much in sequence. Now I do think I added a little bit to it with my own little math flair, but to be honest, there's no need for me to make a fact sheet on it. You should just look at the Uma.Guide Grand Live guide that was released for them because honestly, it was so good I was having trouble actually going and making the whole Lightburst spin on it. So thank you to all of those that were answering the question in the Uma.Guide forums, particularly JJ for the testing and on the JP client as well. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoy Grand Live. Good luck. This has been my first attempt. I know I was yapping a lot, but there was just a lot to get through. So take care, everyone. Verb out.